We've been talking about wellness for the skin, following our wellness strategy: stop poisonous skin, flood the skin with nutrients, and this third category, manage our stress associated with the skin. So let's talk about that. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. And stress and the skin, of course, are related indirectly. And we've talked about that from a standpoint of what the effect on the immune system or the effect on digestion. So if I get stressed, I have poor digestion, that changes the chemistry, makes the body more acidic because the undigested food's making it into the bowel. And then we get a bloom of bacteria, the wrong kind of bacteria, or the fungi or yeast. We get a lot of different potential consequences to stress and digestion, which then leads to the skin. We also have stressful eating, right? It changes our eating habits. Stress can then also affect our sleep habits, and we do a lot of repair at night with sleep. And so if we're not getting that repair, stress also causes us to tense up, and be physically tight, and that can affect certain areas of the skin because the tension actually creates the restriction in the lymph flow, so we don't get good lymph and good circulation. So you can see how all those factors can be connected to our emotional state and affect the skin, which is one of the reasons why the wellness industry in general is if I could say it this way, is really not interesting or not as attractive to the medical professionals, and certainly not the drug companies, because it's just too difficult to pin down a cause, right? If someone comes in with a skin problem, I just want to throw a medication at it, suppress the skin reaction, make the redness go away, which is a lot of what these anti-inflammatory, just make the redness go away. We haven't really changed anything. We just made the redness go away. So we haven't changed the underlying cause, right? And it's difficult. How do you pin down the underlying cause? How do we know? Is it that stress and all that, kind of some of those things that we just talked about? Is it something different, or like a toxin? We talked about that yesterday. Is it a toxin that's coming out on the skin, and that's what's causing this irritation? You see what I'm saying? There's just so many different ways to think about it. And so it's just much easier to say, okay, let's just make the redness go away. Let's just kill the bacteria that's on there. Let's just do something, that is just focused on that little one thing at hand, and not necessarily look at the global picture, because the global picture is difficult to discern what's happening. And in all fairness, it's not really the doctor's job to figure out what's going on with all of the rest of your life, right? That's your job. You are the one that knows what's going on in your body. So I turn to one of the best techniques I know of to get myself in tune and in touch with my body, which is breathing. So we're going to do a little bit of breathing today. I know we've gone in and out of doing more breathing or less breathing. We've done a little bit less breathing recently. So okay, we're going to go back and do more breathing, because in this system that I call Therapeutic Breath, it helps us get in touch with what's going on in our body, and that is what is going to direct us to our next step to figure out what's going on. And one of the reasons I'm doing this wellness program, to put you through, go through all the body systems, is so that we can all be a little bit more conscious, a little bit more aware of each of those systems. Each time we do this, each time we breathe into a system, each time we pay attention, each little bit of information we learn starts to put a piece into the puzzle, so that when something is happening that we're not completely happy with, we have a better idea of what's going on. We certainly have a lot more information than the doctor. Doctor's not in our bodies. Doctors don't know what's going on. They're stuck with a very, very small chunk of information, and then we're expected to deliver the answer. It's just that's not a reasonable expectation. We're the ones who are in our bodies. We know what's going on. Let's take charge of that, right? This is the personal responsibility element, and I'm really big in this. No, I don't expect the doctor to be able to handle all that, and with information we should know. And we do know. It's just a matter of making that connection. Okay, so let's talk again about this emotional thing. So if you ever heard of a boil being angry, so, oh, that looks really angry. oh, that's a really nasty boil, or that's a, and we make this kind of emotional flavor to the boil, as if the boil has its own entity, and it's erupting, right? Well, there is a way to think about skin reactions directly in that context. That the skin is the outward expression. I mean, that's what we show to the world, and where the message to the world is, I'm angry, I'm I'm out of balance. There is that is a message that we're giving out there. So if we look at it from a purely emotional perspective, and all of the factors that we've talked about that have a physical connection are valid and reasonable to include. I'm just saying let's delve one step into the emotional connection to this and say, let's say that there is an emotional issue. Well, there always is emotional issues to illnesses or to imbalances that are going on, whether it's causal or whether it's coming out of that. In other words, if I've got a pimple on my face, I'm going to have an emotional reaction to that pimple, right? Whether that's caused by the emotional problems I'm having, or whether I'm frustrated that I've got this blemish that people are going to see. I'm embarrassed. I don't want people to see me. It's coming up. And that they happen during stress, right? People get those pimples right before a big event, right before a wedding, right before the prom, right before some big thing, and it's because they're stressing about that thing, and that stress obviously feeds into, drops the immune system, and then the skin is not able to handle the bacteria that's going to be there, and something blows up, right? Well, this is what we're talking about: is are there some tools I can use to manage that stress, and how can I think about it? So let's talk about it from a standpoint of where can I intervene on the stress level. Yes, of course, I would want to make sure that I clean my face, and if I had a pimple on my face, I want to clean it, make sure I use some good hygiene and all the rest of the stuff that go with that. Support the body inside and all the rest of it. But what do I do emotionally? Okay, what are some things I can do? So one of the things is that we go back to our release oil. Remember our release oil? Right, go back to our release oil and try to work on whatever bottled up. A lot of times people will make the connection that if we hold something in and it eventually comes out. Well, that's basically what we've been talking about for detoxing. So let's just detox those emotions, right? If the emotions can hold in there and stay and then come out on the skin, if you will, well, then let's work on that, all right? So letting go of things. Of course, you can say, well, that all makes the connection to stress and all the rest of it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, okay? So it doesn't matter whether you think about it the way Louise Hayes does with heal your body with a phrase, affirmations and that kind of thing, or whether you just look at it purely scientifically. Okay, so this idea of stress. So I'm going to breathe and do some breathing, right? Breathing is one of the best ways we can manage our stress. And I breathe in God's love. I breathe in my release oil, right? And where's my release oil? Okay, so I take my release oil and I take my drop. It just takes one drop. It's not much. With the emotional oils, you don't need a whole lot of essential oil. We don't need to do, the 5 drops, bathe the whole body with it, or fill the capsule with 15 to 20 drops. Just one little drop. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to breathe that in, let that move the body, right? The oils have such movement. Do you not feel those? I mean, when we breathe in the oil, there's this movement. What is emotion? Motion is in the word, like movement. We need to let things go. We need to get things moving out. All these emotional blocks that we have, we stop ourselves. We do these things that are part of our pattern, are part of our history. We fall into emotional ruts. I can't do that because. And these are programs that are running on the inside. There's where affirmations can help change that program. You can make up affirmations however you want to, but there's a whole bunch of affirmations you can find online. You can find books about affirmations where you can help to reprogram the inward dialogue. There's dialogue that's going on that I don't even know about, right? And the more aware I can be of these things, the more tools I have to intervene. That's what I love about the essential oils, because they'll help us intervene regardless of whether we know the details, right? I can use release oil, and I can work and say, I can say to myself, to my mind, okay, I am going to work on releasing whatever this is that's causing this pimple, right? Whatever emotional component. Yes, like I said, I'm going to do all the physical things too, but why not just take a breath and use some release oil and engage in the emotional element as well? So I'm going to breathe in, the oil release. Now let's imagine that the emotion is actually coming out on the skin. If it's a rash, if it's a rash, let's say that emotion is coming out. So I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to have that emotion. It's obviously trapped. It's not making its way out, and we don't really want it out through that method. We want it to process normally. Well, how do emotions process? Okay, you can think of them differently, but we could do them through the elimination system. We could do them through the amygdala, which is right in the center of the brain at the top of the nose. But I'm going to play with an image of just sending them out down through the elimination system, right? They're full of crap, right? Just going to get rid of these crappy emotions, and I'm going to let them go out. Can I say that on YouTube? So I'm going to breathe in, and let's say I have this boil here, and I'm going to breathe into that emotional layer and right into the boil. I'm going to breathe right into it. It's probably going to intensify the experience of it. It's going to increase the pain of it because I'm paying attention to it. But isn't that part of what the problem is? There's something we're not paying attention to. I'm going to breathe into that rash. I got this big rash across here. I'm going to breathe into it. So pay attention. Breathe into that rash, and then exhale and pull that emotion in and down and out through the colon, out through the bottom, right? I could also give it to God, and like I said, take it internally to the center of the brain and take it up. So breathe that in, pull it up into the center of the brain, which is the emotional processor, the amygdala, and then exhale it up and give it to God. Either way, it's good. What I'm saying is, these are just some little tools, some breathing tools that we can use to manage that emotional element that's coming along with these things, okay? So there's also some discussion here of, again, how I interact with the world, that this boil is an outward expression to the world. And our skin is a physical armor, but it's also an emotional armor. It's a barrier. We don't want to interact with it. We're afraid of the world. We're angry with the world, whatever that is. And so I could use breath to deal with that space between me and the world, right? Which would be our aura. And I know that sounds a little bit weird. All right, Peter's gone really wacky talking about the aura, but we have a field around us, and we can breathe into that interaction with the world and strengthen that. Okay, so if I breathed in, and let's say, like I said, let's say I had a pimple here, breathe in and go a little bit out from there, and heal and strengthen that interaction with the outside, because that's really what I'm now showing, okay? I don't know if it's making sense, but I've been doing this for so long that it makes sense to me. So please let me know, give me a comment or two if this sounds just way too much. If none of this relates to you, you can come back to at least using the essential oils. We can always do the idea that we need breathing to help calm down and balance emotions, because it helps with the adrenal glands, helps calm us down. Getting more oxygen, feeding the immune system, we can always go back to things like that, okay? So whether we're going to use this breathing in a more sort of esoteric way to kind of talk about these emotional things, make a connection to something real or imagined, make a connection there using our imagination, or we're looking at it from a physical standpoint, there's a lot we can do to intervene to these stress patterns associated with the skin. So that's what I have for today. Try to work on this in a wellness perspective. We always want to, when we're doing breathing and we're working with emotions, you really want to be very gentle with yourself. Don't allow a negative cycle to come in. Intervene with that. Breathe in God's love. Break up that negative cycle, and then begin again, okay? And you use your oils, supportive oils, release, even our frankincense and lavender that we're using this month, very, very supportive that we could use inhaling for that, okay? So happy wellness, one day at a time. Give me some comments. Let me know if this is working for you.